Hello, welcome back to adding vectors component by component. In the last section, we introduced all of these concepts. And the bottom line is you just add the x components and you add the y components. In the last couple of problems, I gave you the components to start with so you could just start adding everything, no problem. In this problem, I'm not going to give you that to begin with. I'm going to give you the magnitude and direction of those vectors first. And then you're going to have to know that when I ask you to add vectors, the first thing you need to do is break them into components. And so that's why we learned that to begin with. So the problem goes like this. Let me see if I can draw this as a large XY plane so that we don't have things cluttered too much. So this is X and this is Y. And I'm going to give you two vectors. Vector number, or vector one, I guess you'd say, I call it vector A, is going to look something like this. Okay? So A vector, we're going to say is 50 newtons. I like using newtons because everybody can think about pulling, right? So I'm pulling there. And this vector has an angle with the positive x-axis of 30 degrees. So that's a vector. It has a magnitude and it has a direction. And you know from before that you can calculate the x and y components of A, but I didn't give you that, but you know that you can, right? In the back of your mind. So you have magnitude, you have direction. Now what we're going to do is we're going to write down vector B. Vector B is not going to be quite as long as this one, but it's going to be angled way over here, and it's going to be a little bit shorter, something like this. So I'm going to say vector B is not quite as long. That's going to be equal to 35 newtons, right? And the angle measure from the x-axis to that vector, I'm going to also give you, because I have to give you its angle in order to define it. That angle obviously is bigger than 90 degrees because it's over here. That angle is 110 degrees. Okay, so I tried to keep the purple with the purple vector and the blue with the blue vector. So for each vector, I have a magnitude and an angle, and here I have a magnitude and an angle. So the question is very simple. Add these vectors together and tell me what the resulting vector is. Give me the magnitude and direction of the resulting vector. So you have to think mentally about how to break up this problem. I know how to break x, or vector A into x and y. I know how to break vector B into x and y. We practiced that. So first I'm going to do that. Once I have x and y to find the resultant by adding them, I'm going to add the x's and I'm going to add the y's. That's going to give me the resulting vector x and y component. Then to get magnitude and angle, I'm going to go and do what I've been doing for all these other problems. I'll use the Pythagorean theorem and the inverse tangent. So part 1, part 2, part 3 is my mental strategy of what I'm going to do. So now is a good time to flex your muscles on understanding that trig. You know, I'm not going to draw it here, but you know there's a y component of A and there's an x component of A. And we've done this enough where you should know by now that the x component of A is the magnitude 50